I'm Elijah, and this is my story. So, who is Elijah? I guess the best way to explain it is I'm a pretty funny, goofy guy who just kind of likes to have a good time, very outgoing. I study for Christian counseling. I'm in my freshman year of college at Southeastern in Wake Forest, North Carolina. I now study at home, which is a new experience with my family, being around for school and a lot more free time on my hands, and a lot more family time. I like to play golf. I like to play basketball, watch basketball, literally anything basketball related, pretty much. I like to spend a lot of time with friends, going out and doing literally anything, whether it's watching movies or just a lot of fellowship is kind of what I like to do. My dreams and aspirations would probably be to be a discipleship pastor one day. I think one of my biggest convictions as a Christian is just that not everybody can get equipped at every church. I think it's very important for all age groups from 0 to till death to just be able to hear the word be poured into, whether they're a new Christian as a child or if they're a new Christian as an elder, that they're able to seek wisdom, seek guidance, and counsel in their church without having to fish for it, like that it's just available and that it's there. And so I think that's probably my biggest conviction and where I want to take my studies and just be able to counsel people in that. Yeah, I am I'm only 19 actually. I look much older. I get mistaken for my brother's father at times. I get mistaken as my mother's husband at times. But I am just 19, freshman in college, graduated high school last year. In my upbringing, I mean, we have a pretty big family. I have my mom. It's me, my mom, and my brother, Josh. And then my mom has 4 brothers, and they all have kids except for one. I am pretty close with all of my cousins. I'm pretty close with my grandparents, all my uncles, all my aunts. Pretty much that's been all of our lives as cousins. And for me, just being around family, it's kind of like we are all friends. I mean, it's deeper than that, of course, but we're all friends, even the younger ones, like my little brother and his little cousins and stuff like that. It's just been me, my mom, and my brother for my whole life. We've moved around, lived in Florida, Alabama, and North Carolina. North Carolina twice because we couldn't get enough of it, I guess. But really, just the moving around is probably the biggest part of my upbringing. I went to 5 different high schools, 2 middle schools, and 2 elementary schools, so 9 schools in total that I spent my time at, not for any longer than 2 years. So when it came to the connecting with people, I think I struggled making friends and being sociable from like all the way up till about 6th or 7th grade, and that was when we moved from Florida to North Carolina. And once we got to North Carolina, around my 7th grade year is when I started to blossom a little bit in the small town setting, not a big city setting. And I was able to learn how to be more social. But I think I picked up bits and pieces over the years of moving on how to be social and how to break out of my shell a little bit. I had a lot of first days at new schools, so I had to get used to being able to put myself out there. There was a lot on the list of hurting events. There's a couple that like stuck out. Out of the hurting events, I think probably I mentioned how I live with just my mom and my brother. Probably being without my dad, him being around and alive and knowing who he is and being in contact with him, but him not being in my life and us being not a part of each other's lives is probably the most impactful hurting event. Not my whole life, but since I was really little, probably about 1 or 2 years old, where my mom and my dad separated. And that was the first time we had moved to North Carolina. And I think the biggest impact that it had on me was my identity. I think I struggled to find where I lied in society, in just my daily life, where I needed to be, because I felt that I was pushed out of place without a dad. Like all the kids at school would have their dads, they would have both parents in the house, and it was just not having that, I think, made me feel set apart, but in a negative way, and made me feel kind of lonely. And it started to impact my commitment issues. Like I couldn't commit, I mean, even through middle and high school, to relationships, friendships. I mean, I moved to 9 different schools, so obviously I couldn't really commit to that. A lot of those were my decision, especially in high school, going to 5 different high schools. I asked to transfer multiple times. I just couldn't commit to those. I let my identity lie in worldly things like sports or just my social status, stuff like that. And it was all to fill the void and the hurt of not being or not having a dad and feeling unloved from that aspect. So I tried to seek that love and fill that void with the other things in my life and other people and other activities and stuff like that. I wasn't old enough to understand what was going on, so it kind of felt like I only knew just my mom and I in the house, before my brother was born at least. Like I was the only child with just my mom, so it was just me and her. That's what I knew. But I also knew that I had a dad because I had experienced him at the early parts of my life. But I think there was a lot of bitterness and anger towards it, and so it was a lot like passive aggression when that topic would come up at school or at work or stuff like that. It would just be a blood-boiling topic of discussion for me, and I think I let it get the best of me for a long time. Even now, occasionally, it's not half as bad now, but even now, it's like you said, ripping off a Band-Aid, but I'm not necessarily doing it. I'm just kind of pulling it off little by little. And I've gotten to the point now where I'm kind of to the end of that, and I've talked about it enough, but I haven't fully gotten there yet. Like I've had many instances just in the last however many months where I'm like, okay, like I thought I was over it, but here I am, mad, sad, whatever the emotion may be, feeling towards my dad or my mom in this situation. Not that I should be acknowledged by him, but like birthdays or holidays, for example, like I would at least expect a text or a call or something like that. But when I don't receive contact from him or something like that, it hurts. And I think it, for a while, caused me to have a lot of resentment for the holidays. And I think even now it has kind of numbed out holidays for me. Like I don't necessarily feel the excitement or the draw to the holidays. It's kind of just another day now, because I was seeking him for so long on those days. Like I was like, okay, here's a reason for him to text me, or here's a reason for him to contact me or call me. So I think that's caused a little divide in that area. I think the things that kind of replay in my head are that I am like him. I feel that I can't, like the thought of, like I said, commitment earlier, the thought of marriage, the thought of being a father, the thought of finding a career pathway or being an adult and finding a home. I struggle with the idea of thinking that I'm going to be like that. I'm not going to be able to commit, or I'm not going to be able to be a good father, or I'm not going to be able to be a good husband and stuff like that. And so I find myself, even with school and college, like I feel like I'm not going to finish this degree because I am like him. I can't finish this degree because I can't commit to this. I can't follow through with it. Stuff like that. So I think Jesus showed up in early high school, late middle school years, where I had already been saved, but I was still trying to find my place in the world and still trying to find my identity. Like I knew all the right things to say and all the right things to do, but I still wasn't sure where I was supposed to be. I was struggling with finding career paths, and I was playing high school basketball, and all of my time and energy went to that. I wasn't serving. I wasn't going to church regularly. I'd skip out because I was too tired. I think it was kind of, I suffered quite a bit of injuries throughout my early years of high school, and I think that is when Jesus showed up in my life the most, outside of being saved. I think I needed to be pulled out of my comfort zone, pulled out of my normal life to be able to see that and be slowed down. And so I think I had like 3 back-to-back injuries where I was just pretty much bedridden. I was just always home, had to go everywhere with the family. I wasn't on my own schedule. I was very much confined, and it caused me to kind of sit back and reflect on who I was. And that's when the thoughts of, if you take basketball away from me, who am I? And at that point, I had no answer to that. I thought I had to go to college to play basketball. I had to get a scholarship. I had to do all these things for basketball, for sports, or else there was no college. I didn't feel like there was a point of graduating high school at that point. There was no drive outside of basketball. And so I think getting hurt, and while I was hurt, luckily my mom made me go to our youth group at church. So I would be in there again without being drained completely from basketball, and I was able to get back in with my life group and get back in with people my age at church, and they were able to kind of just show me, like, this is where I need to be. I don't need to be in a locker room, in games, playing the sport. Like, I need to be with these people. I need to be getting poured into. I need to be at church. And that's when I started to pull back out of the sport. It was my later high school years, my junior year. I started off that season and I was like, okay, I think this is it. I'm going to start serving every Sunday. I'm going to start serving every Wednesday. I'm going to be there for the church. I'm going to be there for my family. I'm going to be more available. And that's when I think Jesus came in and really grasped my heart, because that summer is when I felt the call to ministry. And so after that, it was like a complete flip switch. It was no longer that basketball was my priority. It was, I wanted to be at church all the time. I wanted to serve. I wanted to be with the kids. I wanted to be with my mentors, my pastors. I just wanted to be at the church. I wanted an excuse to be at the church constantly. And it just continued from there, from me being poured into, me being mentored after that call to ministry. And I just continued on from there. Injuries wise, it really all started in like elementary and middle school. I had a tumor on my growth hormone. It was a non-cancerous tumor, and it caused me to grow really fast, and which caused acceleration in my puberty. My bones were just always in pain, and so it caused my knees to be very just in pain constantly. Like, I was playing elementary school rec basketball and crying after games because I couldn't walk or run on my knees after games. And then it kind of just grew into this thing where it was just normal. Like, I would ice before games, I would ice after games, and I was growing at a rapid rate. I was just always in pain on my joints and on my bones. And then finally, at the end of my middle school years, I hurt my knee even worse and had to go get a surgery done on my knee to fix all of it. And it was supposed to be only 2 weeks, and I was going to be able to play and finish out some sports stuff, but it ended up being a 4 or 5 month recovery, and I wasn't able to walk. I wasn't able to shower all by myself. I wasn't able to do a lot of things all by myself. And immediately after that happened, I went into my freshman year of high school and got a concussion. And that was 2 months being out of rehab for my knee. I got a concussion. And so I missed that season as well. And so I think in that, being in bed a lot and just being at home and not being able to do what I loved at the time, I was struggling to find worth in myself and find purpose in living, like going to school and getting out of bed. Like, I needed a drive to get out of bed. I had no reason to get up in the morning. I had no reason to do anything not playing basketball. And so I had those two injuries. And then on top of that, with my joints, I have something called Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, which is like hypermobility of the joints. And so that's caused me immense pain and constant pain, which is just, I'm pretty sure it's chronic. And so I'm just going to have to deal with that for the rest of my life. And I go to physical therapy for that. And even now, like, I'll wake up and have severe back pain and just have to deal with it that day, or a knee pain or hip pain like today, or just any kind of bodily pain can stem from those things. And it's just caused me to pretty much have to put down basketball as a physical joy. Like, I can't go out and just have fun with it anymore. It's just been confined to me watching it on TV or watching it in person at games that I go to. But I can't enjoy it as a sport anymore, to play it anymore, because it just hurts me too much to do that. And I think that it was kind of, like I said, where Jesus came in and showed me, like, I don't need to be in basketball to be happy. And I think it's just grown as a constant reminder that, like, I didn't need that. Like, I need other things, not the fulfillment of basketball and stuff like that. One of the things that is always on repeat in my mind is something I learned at a retreat, that your spiritual, mental, and physical health are all intertwined, and they're all working together. And so once I was able to realize that, and that putting my body in pain to, like, play basketball was not helping my spiritual health. It was actually, like, pulling me back, distancing me from God. And so once I was able to realize that and really assert myself in other ways to keep myself healthy, I think it played a role in, like, blossoming my spiritual health, my mental health, because my physical health was improving after I acknowledged how they were all intertwined. Specifically for everything, not just the injuries side of things, verse that is big to me is, it's in Matthew 6. I think it's verses like 25 through 28 or something like that. It's not worrying about what you're going to eat or what you're going to wear or anything like that, because God's going to provide all of those things, and God's going to be there with you through all of the things that you tend to worry about. Like, there's no reason to worry about it. Just give it up to God, and those things will be covered. I can't remember where it's at in the Bible, which I never do. But my favorite Bible story is the tax collector, where he forgives the man for not having the money to pay him. But the man then goes to a servant and beats up on him because he can't pay him back. And I think that being able to look at that and recognize that we do that in so many different contexts every single day, whether it's that extreme, like somebody didn't pay us back and so we're harping on them, like, you need to give me my money, or blah, 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 or if it's like being in a broken home, like not being able to forgive your parents, or not being able to forgive a sibling or something like that, or literally just not being able to forgive your sibling for taking your last thing in the fridge. Like, something as simple as that. Like, we experience that story in so many different contexts every single day of our lives, and it kind of flies under the radar. And I think that story helped me be able to see my life for what it was. Like, I was that guy that had been forgiven by God, and then I turned around and felt bitterness and anger towards my dad, not understanding where he might be or where he is walking and in brokenness, or in his faith, or wherever he may be at, just not being able to recognize where he's at and forgiving him. I think that's the most impactful story to me, because I relate to it, and I think we all do so much. Some encouragement for people my age would probably be to don't limit God. I think there's so much God can do in your life, no matter where you are, who you're with, what you're studying to do, what you're aspiring to do. There's so many different ways God can use you, and I think that's something He's placed on me recently. It's been a constant prayer for me. It's like, God, wherever I am, use me. Whoever I'm talking to, use me. Like, in every context, use me as much as you can, and just let me be along for the ride. And so I think the best thing would just be ask God to use you, and ask God to soften your heart and open your mind to anything, whether that be quite literally selling all your belongings and not studying that thing and going over abroad and being a missionary with no college degree, like, or if that's going into business or going into ministry or going into anything. Like, God can use you at any level, any job, any place. And I think just letting that be known in your heart, that whatever you're doing, God will use you and speak through you to those around you. Well, the person that's helped me the most, honestly, is probably you, my Uncle Chris. You've set a very good foundation of what my life, or what I want my life to look like as a father, as a husband, and as a Christian father and husband, not just any father and husband. I think those lies that I hear, that I'm not going to be a good father, I'm not going to be a good dad, I think I sweep those aside because I have you as an uncle to set that foundation for me and walk alongside me consistently, and to love me as family, but also as a brother in Christ. And I just know that everything you tell me, whether I don't want to hear it or whether I do want to hear it, is always going to be what's most beneficial to me. And I appreciate all that you have done and will be doing for me. And yeah, definitely you. My mom's great. I mean, she hasn't questioned anything I've done. She hasn't ever been too tough on me. She hasn't ever held me to a standard that I felt I couldn't reach. And I think her being so understanding of where I want to be in my life with ministry, with my job, with my school, her willingness to just be with me and pay for my schooling, to let me call her in the middle of the night when I am freaking out because I just don't know what else to do. And just her gentleness and kindness towards me has always been admirable, and I just thank her for that. I think I wouldn't be where I'm at now without her, and without her understanding, and without her love of the Lord. I mean, I think it definitely goes unnoticed how much she loves on me and my brother. I mean, we tell her we love her all the time, but I don't think there's words to be said of how impactful she's been on my life. I wouldn't be going into ministry if she didn't approve. I mean, she paying for my school. I wouldn't be doing that if it wasn't for her, and her willingness to allow me to go into something that could possibly be low income. So a lot of parents don't support that because ministry is not where you break the bank. And so I think having a mom / dad that is my mom that just supports me every step of the way has just been incredibly impactful. Mom, thank you. There's not words to be said or anything of that sort to express mine and Josh's love and gratitude for you. You have put everything into us, and when I say everything, I mean quite literally everything. You've been doing it by yourself for almost 20 years now, and I am even almost 20, and you're still doing it all for me. And I think that you'll never stop doing that for me, and I just thank you for that. Your hard work does not go unnoticed, and you're doing amazing, and you are loving us and loving God the way that you should be, and you are just doing amazing. And that is evident because, I mean, you just got approval on your VA stuff. And so I think God's walking right with you in that. I think he is saying thank you as well for just being an amazing mother and loving him and just walking with me and Josh through our lives. And like I said, just thank you for all that you do. Dad, I want you to know that I love you. Being a dad is not easy. It is not a cakewalk by any means, and I don't know what you have gone through. I don't know what you have struggled with. I don't know what you're going through or struggling with as I speak. I don't hold any of this against you. I know things happen. I know life happens. I know things come up. But this is how it's gone, and we can't hit the rewind button on that. You still have made me into the man I am today, regardless of how things have gone. And I would never trade any of that for the world. It's no one's fault. It's simply just how life has gone. And I don't regret any of it, and you don't need to either. I've felt angry at you. I've felt very, very, very bitter at times, to where I placed the blame on myself. I've placed the blame on you. I've placed the blame on my mom. But the blame is on nobody, because things have gone the way that they were supposed to. And honestly, it couldn't have gone any other way. And I wouldn't ask for it to have gone any other way. So if you're seeing this, I love you. I forgive you, and I thank you for all that you have done for me.